All right. Look at all these people pouring in. Good afternoon, everybody. If it's 2 o'clock on a Wednesday, it must be time for Webinar Wednesday. I am your host, Greg Epps, and today we are going to be closing out our two-part series on the MLS Tax Suite, or CRS. Now, as you guys recall, last week we dealt with the property search aspect of the system. Today we're going to move over to prospecting. Now, prospecting is probably the easiest part of this system, but also the most robust, meaning that there is a lot that you can do to fine tune and choose who it is that you're prospecting for. But luckily, the workflow to do so, to get from point A to point B, is going to be super duper easy. Lori Braswell, how's it going from Athens? Those that know me know I have an affinity for the classic city. Always good to see people from Athens on these webinars. So, going into the prospecting today, like I mentioned, this is going to be a very simplified and straightforward process. Hopefully, I know I say it a lot, but this should be our fastest webinar. Now, going ahead and clicking on prospecting, it's going to take us over to this screen. Now, those of you who are familiar with CRS, you may notice that the screen looks a little different. They've redesigned how they handle their prospecting, but it's worth noting the generalized information that you would pull from its previous view is still there. So for those of you who are kind of scratching your heads at how to approach this screen, the workflow is going to be the same. It just has a nice simplified layout. Now, first and foremost, the majority of the screen is going to be taken up by a map. Now, this is a fully realized map. You can drill down into it. As you can see, I'm looking over here into Tucker. It's going to take us down into parcels. For each one of these, you can click on them and it's going to pull up the tax record report. But not only can you click through all of the different parcels that you have located on the map here, if you want, notice out to the right hand side we have a series of icons. One says draw, the other says undo, then we have center. Let's say I'm working and I want to prospect out to this area right here. Right off the bat, quick and easy, all I have to do is click on the draw tool. I can select either a circle, a rectangle, polygon, or freehand. I generally go with polygon. It seems to be the easiest and cleanest for me. But go through, draw out your defined shape, and right then and there, it's going to ask you if you would like to include or exclude this section from your prospecting. So just wanted to show you that not only can you use the map to help locate the areas that you want to prospect, but if you know specifically where you're looking to do your prospecting, you can just drill down to that specific area, draw out the shape that you're looking for, and just include that section and drill down from there. So we showed you what the map can do. Let me go ahead and show you what we have going on this left-hand side of the screen here. Now, while you can drill down and do prospecting directly from the map based off of the drawing tools, out to the left-hand side, this is going to let you fine-tune that search. So let's start from the top and work our way down. Notice that we start off with search up to 4 counties. So get this all from scratch, clear all this criteria out. So right off the bat, we can search through up to 4 counties for our prospecting. For the sake of today, we're going to do Gwinnett. One day I'll learn how to spell it. We'll also do DeKalb. And let's throw Fulton in there. All right. Now, if you wanted to, you could throw one more. And keep in mind, I'm keeping these counties clustered. But if you were searching across the state, you can put in counties in different areas, all depending upon the location that you're searching for. All right, once you've defined the counties that you're looking for, notice that you can do a dedicated search by owner name, address, or subdivision. So just like you had under property search, you still have the ability to go in. You do have the ability to go in not only and select your counties, enter in the owner name, address, or subdivision information, but then we have all of these fields down here. Now, what these do is these allow for you to go through and set up your criteria for your prospecting. So right off the bat, we've got boundaries. Now, boundaries is going to allow for us to search through all of the counties that we've selected by zip code, census block, or census tract. For today's example, I'm going to use zip codes just because it's easier. Let's go ahead and select some here. So I'll select some zip codes, and then I'm going to click update. Now, once I click update, much like if you were running a search in Paragon, it's going to reformat our map and plot some properties, or properties in on that map so that we can go in and start parsing down our prospecting. So as you can see, just by selecting those counties and putting in the zip code boundaries, we still have a lot of possible prospects, but it has whittled it down to this particular area with our list of prospects out to the side. Now, in order to get that smaller, because as you can see, we are over 5,500 properties here, but we do want to get that down to at least 5,000. Don't worry, we'll get it down to more. We want to continue going through on these filters. Now, along with doing boundaries, you can search by MLS listing type. So if you just want to prospect out to properties that are for sale currently, or maybe something that has recently sold, you can do so by selecting the corresponding MLS listing. Along with that, we have owner type. Now, keep in mind, anytime you select one of these fields and it just gives you a search bar, if you're not familiar with what you're looking for, all you have to do is click in that bar and it's going to give you all of your options. So in this case, we can choose between owner occupied, absentee in-state, or absentee out-of-state. So let's just go ahead and select owner occupied. And now we've got, it whittles it down even more. Next up, we've got ownership duration. Now, clicking on that's going to allow for us to select the range of years that the people that we're prospecting out to would have been in a home. A nice example for that is, let's say you're looking to find or market out to a group of people who have possibly are empty nesters and now are looking for smaller homes. Well, maybe we want to drop that range out to a generation back just to pull in all of the people. And as you can see, as I start to move this cursor across, it's going to fine-tune that search and automatically give us these real-time adjustments just by sliding that scale there. Now, keep in mind, what I'm doing today is completely hypothetical. I'm just putting in these factors in an attempt to show how the system works and how you can parse down your prospecting and things of that nature. Obviously, you'll want to do these things a little differently. We put more thought into it than I am just flying through these headings here. Along with ownership duration, we do have the ability to sort by appraised value. How's it going, Janelle? We also have the ability to pull out and search by property type. Now, when it says property type here, it doesn't necessarily mean it in the Paragon George MLS search way. As you can see, we've got agriculture, city exempt, commercial, conservation. It runs the gamut. I'm going to scroll down here and we're going to just go ahead and select residential. But I did want to point out that you do have several other options for the type of property that you're using. Now we're getting somewhere. We've got that list down to 138 pages, but it's still a little too high for us. We're going to go through. We can do recent sales. So we can remove sales up to a set number of months in the past. We can also do last sale date if we want to select a range of a date range with which to see when properties were last sold. We can do that with the section here. Last sale price. Let's go ahead and throw something in here just to whittle this down enough. We can go in and no whammies. Hey, there we go. 463. Now we are cooking. So you can also use last sales price to parse that search down by previous sales price. We have flood zone information. You can select all areas that apply. So what you would do is you would simply click into the area that you were looking for that flood zone. Actually, that should have done something else. So I'm going to report that flood zone after this webinar. We have mortgage age. If you would like to find out or do a search by the mortgage age of the properties that you're looking for, you will be able to do so. Keep in mind that sliding scale. The first one is going to be for years out, and the second one will be for years back. So that's going to be that max min there. Okay. You can also select by cash buyers. All you have to do is simply select yes or no. We've got total building square footage. That's, again, going to be one of those ranges where you can do max or mins simply by dragging that toolbar or the circle along the toolbar at the bottom. You have the ability to sort by acreage. We also have vacant land and year built. Now, all of these can be put in place, and it's worth noting when looking at these. If you notice, a lot of these headings are similar to some of the fields that you would enter in a Remine, or at least if you had the premium package. All of that's going to be housed here right for you for free, right off of CRS. So I did want to point out that you have all of that information at your disposal to parse down. Like I said, it's a lot of information, but really the functionality of it is going to depend upon your personal usage. But once you've figured out what your criteria is and you've got your prospects in tow, so to speak, we're going to move over all the way to the far right hand side of the screen. Now from here, we have some choices. Right off the bat, I can go through and I can scroll through all of these possible properties to prospect, and I can look at them individually by simply clicking on them. If I want, it'll open up that tax record for me, or that property report for me to take a look at. Or if you notice, there are some of these that have icons next to them. So in this case, we have one that's a pending sale in the MLS. If I'd like to, because it is in the MLS, I can go ahead and click on that MLS list number, and it'll open up that listing on the home page for Georgia MLS right for us there. I know I did point out last week that there is some connectivity between CRS and Georgia MLS. Just wanted to show that it's going to work even if you're under the prospecting. Along with that, as you can see, we have these courthouse icons here, which does let us know that that property is in foreclosure. So when you pull up that property report, it's not only going to give you all of that information, but you will be able to click through and view all the foreclosure activity as well. So there's a wealth of information that you're going to be able to pull out. And the main reason for that is for you to pick and choose what are going to be the strongest prospects for you. So you can go ahead, and if you see some that you want, let's say up here, you notice you have your two choices. I can either select them all, or if I notice that as I go through that these four here really aren't who I wanted to prospect out to, I could just go ahead and remove those by simply clicking the remove button with the trash can. Automatically takes those out. Now, along with being able to view the properties that we're prospecting out for, at the top of the screen here, we have two choices for how we can set up and send this information out. The first of which is going to be create labels. Now, they've kind of simplified this. In my opinion, at least, as you can see onto one screen. If you recall previously, it was a two-page item where you would go through and scroll through all your options and choices here. You just have this one little pop-up window that's going to allow for you to refine your records, so you can skip records with no zip codes, skip records with no zip codes plus 4 zip codes. You can sort, as you can see, by zip code and address and owner's name. We've got how that addressee is going to be displayed, which address is going to be used, whether that's going to be the property address or the owner's address. We also have the ability to include Mr. or Mrs. in the first line of the addressee, or just say current resident for the address used. Along with that, towards the bottom, as you can see here, we have our Avery type selection. So if you've gone through, depending upon the Avery type page type that you're using, you can select that number that corresponds with what you have. And let's say you started out, or you need to start out on the 12th sticker. All you have to do is click on that when you have the appropriately selected page, and it'll start printing out on that whichever place that you clicked on there. So all you have to do is click create labels, and it will print off labels for all, in this case, 194 properties that we are prospecting out for. Now, let's say we don't want to just go ahead and create labels. We want to do something that's going to allow for us to export this information out onto, let's say, an Excel. What we want to do is create a CSV file where we can pull out all the pertinent information that we want, put it into our own Excel spreadsheet, and create those labels as we see fit. Let's say for a merge or something along those lines. Now, to do that, what we're going to do is right next to create labels, we're simply going to click on export. Now, clicking on export is going to pull up this page here. It's going to give us all of the properties that we can export out. Now, here it's worth noting, much like you could on the main page with the map, you still have the ability to go through and per property select all or remove whichever ones that you need to remove before you get started on editing out or exporting out the CSV file. Once you've got all of the prospects that you're looking for, what we're going to do here is we're simply going to click on Edit Fields. Recommend clicking on Edit Fields because doing so is going to pull up this checklist here that's going to allow for you to pick and choose which columns you want to show up when you export this CSV out into Excel. So right now it's defaulted to owner name, owner name 1, owner address, owner zip, property city, and first name. Now, you have the ability to go through and select all of these. We did have some people make the request, so there is the ability to check all instead of having to manually click through the entire list. So what I would always recommend is if you want to have more, it works for you, you can select all and just pull out the fields that you don't need. And once you're done, go ahead and click export, and it'll create a CSV file that you can just simply upload directly into Excel or whatever spreadsheet system that you use. And it's really just that simple, guys. Like I said, it's pretty straightforward. The flexibility really comes in your approach to how you want to use it. I guess the complexity is in you figuring out who specifically you're prospecting for. But this system does a really good job of allowing for you to go out and customize that search so you can find exactly the people that you want to prospect out to. I did want to point out, along with being able to go through and set your filters, view your properties, create your labels, and export them out, if you want to refer to this at a later date, if you want to come in and you want to work on this, or you're working on this now, but let's say the system, like our industry, is a living document. We need to go in and make changes every now and again. What you do have the ability to do is right here at the top, towards the top of the screen here, there is a save search criteria. So whenever you go in and you do some prospecting, what I always recommend is just go in, click save search criteria. We'll give it a title and click submit. It's going to let you know that it's been saved. And then going forward, anytime I start out fresh, so let's say clear out all this criteria, we go back to the property search, and I go back to prospecting so that we can get a fresh screen here. Oh, we'll still got our counties, but still, what I can do is if I don't want to start from scratch, since everything here seems to be reset, I can just go to use save search, and just like we set up here with webinar test 1, I can click on that and it's automatically going to pull up all the results that I had from the previous session. Now, along with that, I can now go in and using these filters located out to the left-hand side, I can refine those the filters so that my needs are met better than they were before. Anyways, I'm at the point of rambling and I'm a little excited with myself because I promised I would not make this a 45-minute webinar, and it has not been. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Lisa, excellent. I'm glad your mind is blown. That does not happen enough. I will have to work to increase how many people's mind are blown during these webinars, but I'm glad it was. Also wanted to point out, guys, I know I say this a lot whenever we have our webinars. I do understand that we are all going to forget about 90% of what I'm going to say as soon as this is all done. So I do want to point out that when you're under the prospecting screen, like we are right here, if at any point in time you want to get some help with how to use the system and what every button does, if you go up to the top right portion of the screen and you click on help. Now, with CRS or the MLS Tax Suite, what they do is instead of just taking you to the basic help screen, they take you to specifically what you're looking for. So if you're curious or just want to get a refresher at a later date, by hitting that help button, it's going to walk you through 5 videos. Each one is 2 to 3 minutes long. The longest one is 3 minutes and 29 seconds. And it literally walks you through every single button that we touched on today. So if you're curious about how to export your prospects out, scroll down. They've got creating labels in an export file. They show you how to create labels, exporting, how to use the map, saving and searching your criteria, how to clear your criteria, and selecting your criteria. So between this video that will be up on YouTube tomorrow and the videos that we have here, I think we've got you guys covered should you have any issues when it comes to prospecting. Yes, that is the claim to fame, the key to it all, Martha. That is a great observation. Now you guys need to go forth and kick the tires a bit. I think you'll find this system is a lot more user-friendly than it is to sit and watch somebody talk about it. Ballet? I hope I pronounced that correctly. If you go out to YouTube and just type in Georgia MLS, you'll be able to find all of the webinars that we host located out there. Also, if you guys have any further questions, if something pops up later on in the afternoon, if you look up at the top of the screen on the big marker screen there, we have that sticky note, and I've got my email address. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to drop me a line at Greg, at GAMLS.com. Also, if you guys have any ideas for webinars and you'd like to see us focus on something and drill down on something, please don't hesitate to send me an email putting in a request for it. I can tell you from years of experience, there is 100% chance that webinar will come up within the next 2 weeks if you put in the suggestion. So thanks a lot, guys. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you guys go forth, like I say, about this time and sell a couple $1 million worth of homes. We should have another fantastic webinar for you next week. Stay safe out there, guys. Hope you have a great rest of the week.